David Kim becomes desperate when his 16-year-old daughter, Margot, disappears and an immediate police investigation leads nowhere. He soon decides to search the one place that no one else has, Margot's laptop. Hoping to trace her digital footprints, David contacts her friends and looks at photos and videos for any possible clues to her whereabouts. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering 2018 Searching, directed by Aneesh Chaganty.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. This is a feature presentation episode where we are covering the 2018 thriller Searching. And with me, as always, is my main man, Colin. Colin, what's happening?
What's up, buddy?
What is up, dude? We just, well, let's not like bury the secret, right? We've just been, we're fresh off a nearly 2.5 hour recording of Carrie. So we're pretty, we're feeling a little bit of fatigue, but not enough fatigue to not talk about Searching, because I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this really unique movie. Really strangely one of a kind. Like, I know that there are movies like out there like this, like Unfriended, and movies that take place only in like a screen format,
right?
But like, in my opinion, not to this particular extent. Like, they're all kind of like one single room situations. But like, look, we'll get into it, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Midnight Double Feature. As I said, we are freshly hot off a recording of Carrie. That was a longer one, and really a great episode to do. Honestly,
a lot of fun.
So good. Had such a great time doing it. If you want to listen to it, it's going to be available in our bonus content, on our bonus feed. It's actually already available by the time you're listening to this. So if you want to listen to that and support the show, head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. You'll be getting a whole bunch of episodes exclusively made available to you. But not only that, you also get video interviews. We're glad, and it's a pleasure to be able to do interviews with some pretty notable people. And those are always recorded on video. So those are available on Patreon. I don't love having those videos available for the entire internet to see. So that's why I make it available for bonus members.
Yeah.
So if you do want to check it out, head to patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. And look, if you want to support us in any other way, you can rate and review us on iTunes. You can follow our socials. They're right there in the show notes. Just do whatever you can to support us. We're an independent podcast. We don't earn, we don't earn much off the podcast. This is, we've been doing this for over 3 years, and we've had a great time doing it. And we love the support that you guys have put in for us. And we're constantly asking for support. So thank you so much, guys. Spread the word about us. This is great to do. I love this. I look forward to this. Let's get into this. Let's get into Searching 2019. Colin, give me your thoughts about this movie. Like, had you heard about this movie?
No, I'd never heard about this movie. Honestly, I was just totally blindsided by it, because I got your message and it was like, don't watch any trailers, just go in completely blind. I was like, okay. The only hint that I got is when I literally looked up the movie. Like, the synopsis was like, David Kim goes on a search for his daughter. I was like, okay, well, there's that. But I mean, everything else, I was just really kind of like, wow, that guy from Harold and Kumar really grew up. I was like, and the like him getting onto his
American Pie guy.
Yeah. Like him getting onto his brother for smoking pot. And I was like, that's hilarious to me, is watching him be like, how much are you smoking, dude? It's like, dude, this is weed. Like, you're acting like this is your brother smoking crystal meth. Like, calm down. But I enjoyed the movie a lot. I thought it was good. It reminded me of like Chronicle, but way more on screen. Like, everything is way more, even with Chronicle, it's like you get all these different like outside perspectives of one scene that's happening. So like, they'll cut to a camera over here, or a body cam over here, or cell phone over there, all in one scene. But this is just one interaction from one point of view, like the whole time. But I thought that at first movies like this is like, where it's like, it's relying too heavily on like technology and stuff like Unfriended. Like, man, I don't know about these. I've never watched any of those. So I was a little skeptical at first, but honestly, I mean, it's a great movie. You know, it's a nail biter for sure. Yeah, there's definitely times where you feel like cheering. And there's definitely times that you feel just like, oh man, this is so, and I think that a big fascination, or I'm sorry, a big thing that helps this movie out is the modern fascination with true crime. You know, you see a lot of people like emailing him from Reddit and stuff like that, like internet sleuths. So I thought that was really cool. I think that there's a lot of, interesting stuff that's kind of going on that it's saying about like true crime and internet sleuths, you know, cause there's actually been some real crimes and shit and stuff that's been solved from just people on the internet. I think
and people derailing shit. I mean, like look at, the vanishing at the Cecil Hotel was a documentary, on Netflix, where a whole bunch of like, you know, online true crime enthusiasts got involved and they just ended up like derailing the investigation for the worst. Like it was terrible.
Right. Yeah. And you know, honestly, I think this movie is really good. More people do need to see this. And I think that it's interesting watching it as being somebody who like, I remember not having the internet for a very brief time. I do remember that, but I remember no internet. It was just playing outside all the time. So to watch these movies where it's just like everybody's always on a phone or a laptop kind of gives me anxiety. But at the same time, I'm like, well, yeah, it's just kind of, I've always got my phone on me. So I enjoyed it a lot. I think that everybody, I will say I called that shit. I fucking called it. I was sitting and I'll tell you the moment it happened. When he gets on the internet and finds her Facebook and one of her friends, I recognized was the cop's son. I was like, something's off. No, something is off. And I was like, there's no way that something weird is going on here. There's no, like, she hasn't mentioned anything about her son, like knowing her or anything like that. You feel like that would come up at some point, but it doesn't. So I like that, and that never happens. I'm never one of those people to catch stuff early on, but this is one of those is like, nah, I don't trust this bitch. Something's going on.
There's more than a few clues. Like for example, like watching it now in hindsight after your first viewing, when David Kim goes out to the forest, to the lake, and, you know, he finds the Pokeball kind of like keyring, and he figures out that like, hold on, she did not run away. You told me she ran away. When she is like scrambling to gather her stuff and like get out there as soon as possible, you can't watch that scene in any other way, other than you are trying to cover your tracks. Like, you know, like when she says, did you call the cops? Like, you know, you can hear the anxiety in her voice. Like initially when you watch it, you're like, you know, of course that's what she'd say, because, you know, like you want to get onto this as soon as possible kind of thing. But she's just trying to cover her tracks, and it's so ingenious. I love filmmaking like that.
Well, and it's super weird because she literally says, are you at the lake? And it's like, well, maybe she listened to his voicemail, but like to assume he's already at the lake is kind of crazy. There is one moment, and I had to IMDb trivia this, and it definitely is true. In his email, did you catch this? I didn't catch it. Like, there's a moment when he, you know, when the memorial people message him about setting up a memorial for her, and he's like, she's not dead, and exclamation marks or whatever. There's literally an email from a guy who's like, it's pretty obvious that your daughter is being catfished by fish and chips, and he is the son of, and then the email cuts off, and you can't see the rest of it. And I was like, oh, I
didn't see that.
It's not like it lingers on it, but like, you know, it's on screen for a good few seconds, you know? And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. I think it's right before or after he beats that kid up at the movies. But anyways, I like this movie a lot. I thought it was super interesting, and it definitely felt real watching those, like, you know, all the like the websites and stuff where it's like, this guru gives a tip that will prolong your sex life by 80 years. You know, it's like, Jesus, dude. And all the spam emails and stuff. It felt real, and I appreciated that part of it. And I thought everybody did a really great job in it. You know, I was very satisfied.
Yeah, man. I think this was absolutely one of the biggest surprises of that year that I watched this. You know, like I went to the movies, wasn't expecting much because I had seen Unfriended before this, and you know that was just a horror film that took place within computer screens, and you know it was really I guess, disposable. You know, I can't remember the movie for the life of me. You couldn't pay me. If you held a gun to my head, dude, I couldn't tell you what that movie was about at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I walked into this movie being like, all right, whatever. It's a guy looking for his daughter. Great. Awesome. But man, like, I was blown away at just how creative this movie was, and just how it's honestly a masterclass in exposition storytelling, at how you
Yeah.
tell your story. Like, you know, like I was like, there is no, like, I don't know how they're going to do this visually, but they did. They found a way, dude. Like, when you find out, I mean, for them to visually show you that that Kim is going out to the forest, and it's just the GPS of the map, like,
Mm-hmm.
just on the screen, dude. Oh, it's so, like, things like that. It's just so clever, and then like just little, like, showing you the passage of time in the opening scene. You know, you're going from like Windows 98 to like a math
Right.
book. Like, you know, it's just
The
like
early
little
YouTube
things like that.
page.
Yeah, man. And I'm just like, this is like, it's so well thought out. It's so well done. But like, not only that, the story is incredibly strong. Like, yeah, sure, it's like a, you know, a missing persons storyline, but like, there's also things in there about like how social media, like, you know, when they're not attached to this, like, a story, like when they're not the actual person living it, it's so easy for someone to type something that is hurtful to those people. Like, you know,
Right.
it's so easy for someone to come up with an opinion that's just like, oh, okay, look, well, it's obviously this, or it's obviously that, and it's obviously the dad. Like, you know, it's just
Mm-hmm.
so easy for people to, on social media, do that. And I love that the movie really kind of like shines a spotlight on that. But like, not only that, it's just, you know, there's this other more intimate angle about, like, you know, just how a father connects with his daughter after the
Mm-hmm.
loss of their, you know, of his wife and her mother. Or how he wouldn't connect with her. Like, you know, like, he's trying too hard, and she eventually pushes away, and, you know, she ends up creating like a little bit of like a private life for her on social media, and she's, you know, she's feeling the need to get her feelings out on social media and hiding that from her father. Like, I just think that's really, you didn't need to do that, but I am so glad that that's in this movie. Like, just in terms of just like a father finding out about their child this way. Like, you know, like this, like, it took her going missing for him to discover who, a little bit more of who she was. And I was just
Right.
like, that's pretty powerful, man. Like, I really, really appreciate that. There's something that you said, more, like, you said that more people need to watch this. That is why I chose this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, our podcast isn't Joe Rogan's podcast. He doesn't have the download numbers that Rogan does. But we do get listeners, and I'm so glad that we do. I'm so grateful. If this gets more people watching movies like this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, movies that kind of like get swept under the rug, then fuck yes, dude. Like, you know, it's just kind of
Right.
like a big celebratory moment for me, because like, this was, you know, as much as I did appreciate covering Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's movies like this that really kind of like connect with me, and movies that I really kind of want to discuss. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like, if you like, now, listener, if you're listening to this, and over the next few picks, because, you know, I'm not sure if you know the way that we pick, but it's, you know, we just take it in turns. If the next few picks of mine are smaller movies like this, do not be surprised. Like, you know, don't be surprised that they're just kind of like little sort of like indie movies that kind of got swept under the rug. What are you smiling at? What are you smiling at?
So I was looking through our last picks. I was looking through like the last, like, I don't know, like 8 or so episodes or something like that. Like, not upcoming attractions, like features.
Right.
And it was like Ghostbusters. It's like, hey, and then it was like fucking Lone Survivor. I was like, huh. And it's like Lost Boys. And I was like, hey, and then it's like Warrior. I was like, huh. And then it was what was that last? It was like Copland. It's like, okay, not bad. And it's like Drive. I was like, are you going through something, dude? Like, and what I realized, I was laughing talking to Lindsay about it. I was like, but I'll tell you exactly what it is. It's like, it's because like it's because like I live in just this kind of like, oh man, shit's like fuck. I'm a pessimistic kind of person. So I go and I watch like funny shit because, and I watch like monsters and lighthearted stuff because it's like escapism. But you're way more optimistic. So you're like, I can handle the darker stuff. I can handle the true crime and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch that shit. Life's bleak enough as it is. No, I'm just kidding. But
I don't know, man. Like for me, it's just more like what appeals to me in the moment. Okay, so Warrior has powerful family moments, powerful family drama, and like when I sit there and I watch it, I'm just like, man, I'm so moved by this that I kind of want to talk to someone about it. And and then like Searching, when we get to the end of Searching and we like see this news report and it's just like a helicopter shot of like the cars turning around and going back to the quarry, I'm just like, fuck, man, this has got me, and I really want to talk to someone about this. That's honestly how I do my picks. It's not like some big algorithm that I've sorted out or something like that. It's just more like, man, like.
I'm just saying, if you follow the pattern of your picks, like that guy's going through something. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, that's just because I live in like the Willy Wonka world of pure imagination. And I'm like, I don't want to watch UFC fighters. Like, let's watch Rocketeer versus Man Bat. That sounds awesome.
And I'm just like, fine.
Yeah, like we literally just came off of Carrie. I was like, yeah, let's do some of that shit. Like,
let me live in the world of telekinesis and not real life.
There
not
you
real
go.
life kidnapping / murders. But no, like turning back to this movie, I think John Cho, that's his name?
Yeah.
John Cho. Mm-hmm. John Cho is fucking awesome in this movie, dude.
He is. And even how they like, he looks so young when the movie starts, and I feel like they had to age him up just a little bit. He looks just like a tad older. Like when that movie starts and it's him setting up the computer and stuff, he looks so young, and it's like, dude, you haven't aged in years. And then once the wife passes away and everything, it's like, okay, they definitely look like they threw some makeup on him, and it's so tasteful. If that's what they're going for, it's really good. I caught that. I was like, man, that's nice.
Yeah. I think it's a genius level movie, honestly. Like, I mean, like to tell your entire story through screens, but not only that, have just such an emotional core that just sticks with you. Headlined by an Asian American actor, like we can get into that, like whatever. Like it's not that common these days. I think this is a
thank
fucking
God,
knockout.
Dude. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. God. I'm fucking kidding.
Too many of them already.
That's terrible.
No. But like, I think it's just kind of like one of those situations where, oh, you know what, man? I say that like a lot of people didn't watch it. It was made for $880,000. It made $75 million.
Yeah. Jesus God, that's like borderline some Blair Witch shit, like that's what it makes me think of, because Blair Witch was like $34,000 and made like $400 million, but still,
right.
But still $880,000 is like, apparently what I read was it took them only a few weeks to shoot like the actual like physical stuff, and they're like after that, like the way they wrote the script was interesting too. Like they called it a scriptment, they called it like a script treatment. And they literally would have like, somebody type something out, and then like it would be like, oh, so-and-so is at your house, and they would stop and then delete it. And what they would do is just put that line again, like so-and-so is at your house, and then mark a line through it. And if you saw that in the script, that meant, oh, this person deleted and started retyping. And they had like codes and shit they would have in their scripts. I was like, damn. And they straight up said, like, we don't really know if anybody's ever written a script like this before, because we had like a lot of images. We had like how text conversations would go. And I was like, that's really fucking cool, man. And as an actor to get that script and be like, dude, I like see the movie, that would get my fucking like dick hard for this. I'm like, oh, I'm so into this shit now, like I that would get me so excited when you can, like, I've tried writing scripts before and it's a bummer because I can't stay in those lines of like screenwriting. I just want to go in left field. So to like do that and kind of break those rules a little bit and get away with it and make a really great movie is like, you bastards, you did it. That's awesome. You know?
I feel like Ian Malcolm, you son of a bitch, you did it.
Right.
From fucking
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, man, like I think you 100% hit the nail on the head. The way the script is written, it feels so like the way we approach technology feels so human in this movie. Like he'd be typing something, backspace it, and then like read things to himself, and then types out something else, like something a bit more measured. Like, you know, like things like that, man, like little touches. And like, you know, not to mention the fact that obviously he loses his wife in the opening 5 minutes, and he doesn't want to lose his daughter. Like, you know, it's just like, again, just an absolute genius film, and just completely took me by surprise. I had no idea. You know what, man? I didn't even know that it was like this kind of format when I sat in the cinema. Like, you know, when I sat in the cinema, I was like, is this going to take place on screens, like the entire thing? And I was just, you know, initially I was just like, I don't know, man, it feels like a bit gimmicky, but I like, honestly, I think that adds so much to this story.
Well, yeah, I feel like when you're just the average Joe sitting at home watching this, and you know, I'm a big fan of like reading about people that saw like don't fuck with cats, you know, like that type shit.
Yeah,
like that's what like I love reading about. I've never even watched that documentary. I just know the story, so I love just reading about how people like what like this kind of shows you. And some people might not like this movie because it might feel tedious. It might feel like a lot of calling and text. That's what it is to get these cases solved. Like it's a lot of constant contact, writing down phone numbers, memorizing stuff. And I like that this movie, it's like how Hot Fuzz treats paperwork, you know, for cops. This is like this is what I figure, like, imagine what like Robert Graysmith went through for Zodiac. Like, God, dude. And to not have computers at the time and stuff, you know, at that time, it's just outrageous. Yeah, I think that they did a great job with this movie. Even if you don't enjoy the format, the story is great, and the editing and the way that the movie is constructed, it just feels like everything just like, yeah, well, it feels like a place in everything and everything in its place. There's nothing I would trim off this movie. There's nothing I would really change. It's all pretty fucking solid, man. You know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, I'm so glad you agree, because I was like, fuck, he's going to watch this. And I don't know. I'm hoping that the format doesn't throw him off, because it is like, again, a little gimmicky, but you kind of like need to watch. Honestly, if it wasn't for this very, very strong opening 5 minutes, I don't know if I'd be into it for the rest of it. Like the opening 5 minutes is just like, whoa.
Right. Yeah, that's a big deal.
That was solid.
There, I think that, there is part of me deep down that's like, oh, you goddamn kids! Like, there's part of me that's like, and your fucking iPhones! And stuff like that, but I'm like, I can get over that.
Yeah. What do you say we get into this shit?
Let's do it.
So, I don't know if I press play on searching or up, because, man,
you're like,
the fuck? Dude, this movie comes at you hard. Like, hard. Like, what? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought of at first. I was like, this is a Disney movie.
Like light piano music, and then it's like, check in with Dr. Blah blah blah.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, okay. Look
at us, we're just making some pasta and stuff. It's just for cancer. It's like, you know, it just fucking like drops in. And as you're watching it, because the first time it's like, hey, remission. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Like this whole thing could really just be a short film on its own, like separate from the movie. But they decide to give you so much information up top. And they really make them feel, you know, like real people. You know, this feels like something you'd pull up on anybody's MacBook.
Yeah. And like, not only that, but like the devastation, right? Like that you feel when you see moms coming home and you see them moving on the calendar to a later date. And it's just like, oh man, this is not going to go the way that we want it. And we've only known these people for 5 minutes.
Right. Know? Right.
Yeah. So we meet David Kim and his daughter Margot, right? And like, obviously she's passed away. The mother's passed away. And I love this whole thing about the garbage bin. You know, it is father daughter stuff. Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But I love like, like you can kind of see how much John Cho in his face, like from this first call, his face looks a lot more serious. His face looks exhausted. He looks a little more exasperated. Like he's been through a bit. And if you look at the history, right, a lot of it is like him texting her not texting him back. Like, you know, very, very much teenager bullshit. But like again, like someone who is reaching out to his only support system. You know?
Right. Yeah. And I think there's something kind of about, you know, I love what his brother says later on, where he's like, you know, she was waiting basically for you to reach out to her, not the other way around, you know? Like we see moments where he kind of like, for lack of a better term, I guess like chickens out when it comes to bringing up the subject. And it's like, oh, no, man, you got it. Like you got to face this shit, you know?
Right. Absolutely. They have this call with Peter Kim. Big jar of weed.
Hell yeah, dude. Stacked. I love it.
Dude, I just love that he's like, yeah, it's just oregano. He just shoves it in the back of the fucking cupboard.
How much are you smoking? Are you smoking every day? It's like, what does that matter?
Man. I love that, like, you know, when you watch it again, you hear a knock on the door and it's her. You know it's her knocking on the fucking door.
That's what I was wondering, because it says on the computer that it's Thursday night. So did she go missing It's Thursday night when she got pushed off the cliff?
This is the night she goes missing. This is the night she goes, yeah. So I believe, and like, you know, it's been, the timeline is a little weird. So Thursday night, she goes to this
study
whatever,
thing, yeah.
Peter's place, smokes some weed, and then goes to the cliff, goes to the forest. I think what she was doing is like she was probably trying to get some confidence to meet up with the son, the investigator's son.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like we never see we never see David and Margot together until the final scene, like until the last scene in the movie.
Yeah.
So like she never comes home or anything like that, which sucks. But pretty devastating, dude. Like to see like, you know, the visualizer, like the screensaver, and then you just see like iPhone 7 Margot Kim like calling. Man, imagine being a parent and just being like, just seeing those in the morning. Like, you know, this is I'm not a parent, you're not a parent, but like, can you imagine watching this as a parent?
No, well, and the thing that I love is that later on, when the, you know, detective was like, oh, we need to start looking at the possibility she ran away. He's like, why would she call me like 3 times if she was running away? Right. That makes no sense, you know? And I think that's a great moment that it's confirmation of, you know, somebody being like, hey, no, something's not right here. You know, it's like, you don't call somebody if you don't give a shit.
Right. No, absolutely. David goes to work and like you can see in the calls that he is distracted, right? Like he's not, you know, Margot's not answering his calls, he's not responding, and it's just it's eating away at him, right? But like he's being nice, he's being chill about it. He's got no reason to expect that she's missing, right? That something's gone wrong. And then we find out about the piano lessons. Sorry, excuse me. So you can't get in contact with it. Yeah. But talk to me.
This is rough. This is like, this is the first moment where you're like, I mean, it's $100 an hour. She's taking $100 a week. It's like $400 a month that you get just to save up. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And my question was like, so she started saving up the money before she met Fish and Chips, right? She was just kind of like squirreling it away.
I don't think so. No,
okay.
My understanding is that she was doing the piano lessons. She met Fish and Chips, aka the son, the police investigator's son, whose name escapes me, unfortunately.
Robert?
But yeah, we'll just say it's Robert for now. And then what happens is he talks about his father. He does this huge sob story, right? Like, you know, like she feels really, really bad for him. She quits piano, uses that money to help him out.
Okay.
The 2,500. Yeah, like that's what I gather. Because again, like David, we are piecing this together as we go, right?
Yeah, it sucks, man. When you start looking through and it's like, got piano money, here it is. It's like, like positive, like affirmed deception is like, oh, that's rough.
Right. Yeah. He's informed that Margot cancelled her lesson 6 months prior. And then he discovers that she was pocketing the money and transferring it to a now deleted Venmo account. This is shifty.
Yeah, hell yeah. It's like some Silk Road type shit. That's like some you go to a room where, you know, you pay to watch somebody do something to somebody and you don't come out the same person type shit.
Dude, how much do you know about the Silk Road? Have you listened to those episodes on Case File? Because the Silk Road is wild.
Yeah, I had a roommate that had a like a postal box in like another town from where we lived, and he would get stuff sent to the PO box, and then he would go and just pick it up like 2 weeks later, like not touch it for like 2 weeks, and then go to the PO box and pick it up at like, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Wait, he ordered off Silk Road?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He was like selling ecstasy and stuff like that, and getting like ayahuasca and stuff like that. I had a guy who worked with at a restaurant too that did that. He got a lot of his shit from like Amsterdam, Netherlands, and stuff like that.
Jesus.
Some crazy stuff. But yeah, but I was always at least appreciative that the roommate like kept it to a PO box, you know? So it's like, well, at least you're not having it sent to the house. And he owned the house, and I was just like renting a room. I was like, well, what am I going to say? You know, I'm kind of fucked. I can't really do anything.
Holy shit, man. Like, so how long after did you find out about Ross Ulbricht and like the whole...
I don't really know anything about like the specifics beyond like, I just know people that have had like experiences with it. I don't know if I've ever really got into like the history of it and stuff.
Yeah, it's wild. Like again, like one of my favorite podcasts, Case File. I think they did 3 episodes on it, like a series, and they talked like it follows like Ross Ulbricht, who created Silk Road, which is, again, if you're listening to this and you don't know, it was a marketplace that took place over the dark web. So you needed a Tor browser to be able to get into it, and you know it started off from a place of like liberty and free trade and all that kind of stuff, and you know what on paper sounds like great stuff, right? I mean,
right?
You know, like these people would be able to sell drugs to each other, or whatever, and then it eventually escalated into weapons and hitmen and contract killers, and
right,
it ended up being
like
some
pretty wild, crazy shit.
Yeah, but the way that they arrested Ross Ulbricht, dude, was insane. So very, very briefly, and I don't want this to be super spoilery, but essentially Ross Ulbricht, he was working off his laptop, and he had a kill switch on his laptop, so he could literally hit a button on his like laptop and just erase everything on their laptop.
Damn.
So investigators, like police, knew this because they had undercover employees communicating with Ross Ulbricht on Silk Road on the website, and obviously he didn't know. But they knew about the kill switch. So the way they arrested him, dude, like it was like, okay, we need to do this really, really quickly. Like, so they set him up in like a pub or something like that in the UK. And 2 policemen staged like a fight, like an argument in the pub. So he looks away from his laptop for like the briefest of seconds, and literally in the next booth over, the cops just grabbed him, like, so he couldn't touch his laptop. Fucking wild, dude.
That's
Insane.
like having your finger on the trigger. Oof.
Dude, crazy. But yeah, I mean, like he obviously wasn't able to hit that key. Yeah, but like there's so much like support for Ross Ulbricht out there, because like obviously he didn't kill anyone. There is evidence that he, and I'm sorry I'm going all fucking long-winded here, but like holy shit. But like Ross Ulbricht, like there is evidence that he hired a contract killer to kill someone. That contract killer ended up being a police officer. So it ended up being like, well, your intent was there, but obviously the kill didn't go through. But yeah,
so that's enough, you know. That intent is first degree murder, right? I mean, come on. That's first. I mean, that's premeditated murder. Last time I checked.
Yeah. But you didn't murder that person, so you can't be charged for murder.
Oh, yeah, I guess attempted premeditated murder. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about searching. I'm sorry. Do you see what happens when you get me down like a true crime rabbit hole, dude? Holy shit.
I need to listen to Case File again. It's been a minute.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite podcasts of all time. I just chuck it on when I go for a walk. So good. All right. So, look, David finds out about piano and he messages his brother. She has piano on Friday. Duh. Like, and you can tell, like, by the brother's response, it's just like, wow, totally forgot too. Ha ha ha.
Oh, yeah. He's like, that's weird.
Oh, shit. But essentially, he calls the police after finding out about the Venmo account, right? Like, this escalates really, really quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this is, because, like, as a father, like, you can't really just kind of, like, sit there and marinate on this, right? Like, you can't just be like, oh, man, there's all these, like, clues. I just, like, this, I can't just ignore this, right?
Right.
So,
well, like, no response from calls or texts. Like, you leave your laptop at home. It's like, nah, too many red flags.
Right. And she was supposed to go on a trip with her friends, and, you know, she calls, like, he finds the contact, and, by the way, when he boots up the old computer under his wife's account, he's looking at like the Sunwood Middle School contacts, and if you'll notice, you got this. Robbie Abbolt is the next contact, and literally it says, notes, parent in SVPD, divorced family, had a crush on Margot. Like.
There's a lot of that shit. There's a lot of like weird foreshadowing in this where it's like, oh my God. It was like, not that it's like, oh my God, it's right there in front of you, but it is kind of like little things are like right there in front of you.
Yeah. You'll see, like, even in the background, you'll see names that you might recognize. So I think you'll see Aneesh Chaganty's name somewhere. He's a contact. Yeah.
They got a lot of cameos in there and shit. Yeah.
And the producer, Timur Bekmambetov, who directed Wanted. Starring like Angelina Jolie. And he produced this movie. You see his name there in the background. Yeah. But yeah, like Panic Time now, right?
Right.
Like she never came. She never joined us on the trip.
Right. Yeah. And it's just getting worse and worse. You know, like because he talks to the kid's mom, right? And then the kid's mom's like, oh yeah, I'll tell him to call. And then he calls, and it's like, yeah, can I talk to her? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, and it's like it's like jumping, and right when you jump, you're almost reaching it, and your fingers just claw air, and it's like, God, you're so close.
Honestly, dude, what a fucking pan-shitting moment as a parent to hear.
Hell yeah.
And that's when he calls the police, right? Like, as he's calling the police, he's looking at the missing person statistics, state case breakdown in California, open cases, 54%. Closed cases, 45%.
That's why there's a show called Unsolved Mysteries.
I know it's a whole different show, but I really wanted you to break out your Chris Hansen again.
Not happening. No Chris Hansen. Only Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. The guy from Airplane. Sometimes I like to hold hands with a man and kiss him on the mouth and not tell my wife about it.
Is that the same guy? That's the same guy that's like, I picked the wrong day to quit meth, right? Is that guy?
I think the other guy is actually, that's Jeff Bridges' dad from Big Lebowski. Yeah, Jeff Bridges. He's the one who's like, I picked the wrong day to quit huffing glue.
No way.
Yeah, that's Jeff Bridges' dad. He had to convince him to take the role because he was like, this is going to be stupid. He's like, I think you should do it. He's Mr. Mandelbaum in Seinfeld. Mr. Mandelbaum.
Oh, that's
that guy.
Yeah.
Ah, nice.
There you go. Good connection. So then Detective Rosemary Vick gets assigned to the case, right? Assigned, air quotes. And let me tell you, man, fucking Deborah Messing is really solid in this role. Like, she sells it. She sold me definitely the first time. I didn't see any of this coming. Like, you might have caught it, But like, I didn't know the first time. I didn't know that this was the kind of movie that I was like sitting down to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know. I thought it was just going to be a straightforward kind of like crime mystery movie told through computers and laptops and shit. Because I think I really, really underestimated it following Unfriended. Like, I was just like, it is what it is. We'll take
right,
yeah.
right, and you're not really expecting like the twist, and he looks her up, and she's a legit police officer, but there was something right away that I was just like, I don't know, she's too like I'm
Involved?
on the case, and I kind of, and I feel like you're saying some things that she's like, I will find your daughter, and it's like, well, I wouldn't. Maybe don't go out and say like I will do everything in my power to find your daughter, but like not I don't know. There's just something about that where there was never a moment where she really slipped and faltered and something was kind of off, like with her friends. Like one dude posted something and it seemed it was almost like Scream. Like the kid who jaw he breaks, he kind of suspects him, and then he kind of suspects his brother, and then it's like this like suspicion kind of goes around, and it didn't stop with her either, because then I started kind of scrutinizing her. I was like, this is kind of weird. She's really pushing this like runaway thing, and it's like, but I know her son is friends with her, and it's really weird she hasn't brought that up, and that's what got my mind working. I was like, something's off with her. I don't completely. She's a little too overzealous.
I'm glad you caught that. I missed that the first time around that the son was friends with her. And it's strange that like she wouldn't bring it up, because you absolutely would, right? I mean, like the first thing you would say is, "I'm on this case because my son is friends with your daughter." That's the first thing you would say, honestly. I think, like, it's just like,
right?
I feel like this is a personal connection to me. Yeah, absolutely. So, she asks for David's help, right? Getting together a list of her friends. So he hacks into a Facebook group, which, by the way, is so easy.
Oh yeah, I remember people thinking you were a hacker back in your day because your buddy would like. I had a friend that logged into a laptop and forgot about it, and I went on there and changed his like sexual orientation to gay. Like we were like 16. Thought it was so fucking funny, and like so like swapping stuff like that. It's like, you're such a hacker, dude. I like going on there and changing people's stuff.
I know it's not really hacking, but like fucking, it must be 10 years ago. My friend stole my phone. Oh, no, maybe not 10 years ago. Maybe about 10 years ago. He stole my phone and he went onto my Facebook and he changed my birthday to the next day.
That's so fucking devious. That's awesome.
People would be like saying, "Happy birthday, Zohab. Happy birthday, Zohab." And I'm just like, fuck off,
That's
man.
Awesome. That's so, because you could have changed it to like, because when's your birthday? December what? 10th. Like change it to like April 4th and just be like, what the fuck are people talking? But to just do it the next day, it just throws them off just a little bit. I'd love that. It's like the guy, have you ever seen those memes where it's like, my family left me home on vacation, so I moved all the furniture over half an inch, and it's like, I fucking love that kind of shit, dude.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I still have yet to get him back for that one, because it's not easy to change your birthday back. I'm pretty sure you need to wait, because like, I mean, Facebook's going to be like, why is this motherfucker changing his birthday so much?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So we get like look, there's a few montages in this movie that we can kind of like breeze over a little bit. So, we get this montage of David going through a list of her friends. He's kind of like interviewing her, asking them questions. Like, where were you the night Margot went missing? There's this one bitch, Abigail Nielsen. I guess she's like one of the popular girls.
Yeah.
Dude, don't get me started on like the whole sob story bullshit. She was like my best friend.
Like my best friend,
man.
She
is the kinds of person who like changes their temporary profile photo to like the Paris flag or the French flag.
Thoughts and prayers. The one I don't know if you caught this. If I don't say this now, I won't remember. But it's at the very end, and it's when Margot is on her computer, and it's her. And she's actually on the computer, and one of the messages is from that Abigail, and she goes, "Abby, I don't want to hang out with you."
Oh, I didn't catch that at all. That's
you can
great.
find it at the end. It's one of the messages, and she tells that one guy to fuck off, like the guy whose jaw got broken and stuff. Like there's a couple of messages and replies, but that Abigail girl is one of them. It's like, Abby, I don't want to hang out with you. Period. Like full stop.
That's awesome. I had no idea. That's great. Oh, that's
I paused a lot on this movie. Like this is a movie that it was like reading like a menu from like Jack Rabbit Slims and Pulp Fiction. They used to make those and had all this shit on it. It's like, oh, there's so much stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very, like the attention to detail in this movie is like next level, dude. So look, accessing Margot's accounts, David learns that she'd become a loner since Pamela's death, which is, I guess, for any parent would be super heartbreaking, right? I mean, like that their child is hiding anything this big from their parent. It's just like, dude, like you can talk to me. We're going through this together, but like, a teenager's not going to look at it that way. They're going to be like, I don't know if I want to talk to my dad about this kind of thing,
Yeah. Well, and I think there's something too, like you're the adult in the situation. Like you need to, like, you got to talk about that shit, man. Like you got to bridge that gap, it's different when you're an adult, when you're 30 or 40 and a parent passes away and there's still another parent, that's living. That's a little bit different. When you're in high school, it's like, that's gotta fuck that kid up, to some degree. If anything, it definitely kind of is, obviously it's a traumatic event, but it's also like a reality check. It's very like, oh fuck, man. The first time something like that happens where it's somebody close to you, it can really fucking mess you up. So I think that's something where it's, I don't know. Is he like fully responsible? I would say like, no, not really. But at the same time, you could, to not even know who your friends, like who your daughter's friends are. That's crazy, man. Like my mom knew all of my friends, to me, that was a little bit of a damn, you really are out of the loop.
Yeah. Look, I guess it's a situation that I can't really put myself in. 'Cause I mean, obviously I haven't experienced a loss that close ever. So like by default, I guess at some point I understand being withdrawn, but there is a time for repair. Like, there is some time where you kind of need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just kind of like need to repair yourself, and therefore, and by extension, your relationship with your daughter. So, yeah.
So you're calling her a bitch. I understand. I get it.
I'm calling her a bitch. Yep, absolutely. He checks out her Instagram, right? Finds out this guy, Derek Ellis 6969, has been leaving eggplant emojis on her photos, which is what every father wants to see.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what cracks me up. Is he's like, I think I've got a solid lead. It's like, that's cute.
It's so funny to watch because it's such like fatherly bias. Like, this I guess service that he pays for to get Derek Ellis's contact information. This real?
Kind of. Yeah. Like I possess a certain set of skills from a certain profession that I was a part of.
Okay, but no, hold on. Like, that's your job, right? Like, this is a publicly accessible.
Yeah, no, that's mainly.
Tool.
We had a couple of programs that were not like publicly accessible that you could run like people's driver's licenses. You could run like a lot of crazy shit because we were tracking people down. But for the most part, like I can find most people that live around me on the internet through one or two websites. Now there are some that charge money, but I would never pay money for them because it's probably like a scam or something. There's a lot of those out there. But I don't put it past him being this easy to find this kid's information. I really don't, because I did this for a while.
Oh, fair enough. So you're a stalker, is what you're saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, professionally for a while I was, yeah.
You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? If we find out that you're downloading this podcast and not subscribing to their Patreon,
Yes,
we can find you.
I can find you as if you live in the continental U.S. No, I'm just kidding. No, that I mean, because there's like after, just like sketchy people and stuff. Like, what's that guy's name? I'm gonna look him up real quick and just skip trace somebody and just kind of be like, okay, he's cool. You're all right. Like, I bought a house a year ago, and there were some neighbors I was not like. I don't know about this guy. I'm gonna look him up real quick, and everything was legit. But I got bad juju, and I was like, I'm just glad I still know how to do that stuff.
That makes me nervous that you had that kind of power. No, hold on. Let me rephrase that. That makes me nervous that you had that kind of power at your fingertips.
Oh, dude, you could like at work, the programs we had, you could find people through like addresses, phone numbers. But it costs money per search, so you had to be careful about what you were searching on. Don't go chasing any dead ends or anything. But you would search for somebody and get like 12 phone numbers and just call like all of them and just keep calling until you hit shit. It's like, it's out there. It's just kind of, it's like Tom Noonan in Heat. He's like, where do you get all this stuff? He's like, all that information's out there. They're just beaming out. You just got to know how to catch it. It's like, I love
Good
that
reference. I like the reference. So in an effort to throw David off the track, Rosemary feeds him the whole she had a fake ID situation, right? I mean, like, which we know is it's a red herring, right? I mean, like, it's just something to support the fact that, well, the idea that she ran away.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Like, in hindsight, you would look like a paranoid conspiracy theorist if you were like, no, she's planting evidence and she's making all this stuff up and blah. It almost sounds like too crazy to be true. But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. It's one of my favorite quotes of like all time. And he's right. It is kind of like, I'm glad they don't dip into that either of like, you're sleep deprived and you're crazy and you're hallucinating stuff and blah, blah, blah. Right. And it's like, they don't really dip into that. I feel like it's hinted at. But right away, I didn't think that she had faked this though. I definitely did not. And then at the end, I was like, holy shit, she really went like the fucking 9 yards with this girl.
She covered her fucking tracks, dude.
Right. This is brutal.
Yeah. So David discovers Ucast, which I guess is different to OnlyFans. Dude, can you imagine him scrolling down, finds our OnlyFans page?
Oh, that would be... Oh, my God. Is this supposed to be like Vine? Do you remember Vine? Was Vine big in Australia?
Dude, how old do you fucking think I am? Do you think
I don't know.
Years old?
Because here's what happened. I did not find Vine when I had a smartphone. I still had a shitty brick phone at the time of like Vine. I wasn't really on social media a lot. Like, I don't know really, but now I watch them on YouTube and they like crack me up. Like, hi, welcome to Chili's. Like those fucking Vines crack me the fuck up.
No, dude, Vines were hilarious for a while. Like, it's kind of crazy how they just all of a sudden disappeared.
I know, dude. And now I'm like, I mean, I guess that's just TikTok now, but Vines just have this weird energy that's just not. The TikToks are like, nah, that's like dancing and lip syncing and stuff,
Well, and yeah, because like Vines were like weird. Like 30-second videos, and you can just roll on to the next one, right?
Right. He's like, what are those? They're my Crocs, and it's like that old woman with her Crocs on. Oh, I could talk about Vines all day. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So David was unconvinced by her story. Discovers that Margot had been using a streaming site and befriended a young woman called Fish and Chips.
I again, not smart enough to get this myself, but from what I was reading, somebody was like fish, like catfish.
Fishy?
And I was like,
okay, because I was like, something's fishy.
Fish, yeah. Something's fishy. Jesus Christ. No, I mean, that might be a stretch, but I was like, that kind of fish and chips, I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff in here that's like super random in that way. I feel like not everything means something, but like little things like this, like the name of this, the name that this person would pick, is kind of symbolic of something. There's little things sprinkled all throughout this movie that really kind of make it sparkle. There's not like one big set piece that's just glaring. It's like a bunch of small things through the movie that like really give it this like resonance that I like.
Yeah, really kind of like elevated from a run-of-the-mill crime drama situation to something a little bit more meaningful, right?
Right, right.
So, this young woman's name is apparently Heather, right? Fish and Chips. And Vic reports back that Fish and Chips is innocent, right? Having been sighted in Pittsburgh at the time of the disappearance. This is obviously her just trying to cover her son's trail because he's a fucking pest.
Right. And there was at one point where I was like, she's just coming back and telling him this shit. She never has like anything to like, oh, here's this file I'm sending you. It's always just like, well, you're just going to have to trust me on this one. I was in Dharma and Greg or whatever the fuck she was in. Was it Dharma and Greg? Will and Grace. There you go. Who gives a fuck? It's the same thing. No, I'm just kidding.
I wonder if it's like a little bit of like she's preying on David's reliance on the police right now. Like, she's preying on like this guy being so discombobulated by the situation that he'll take anything. He'll take anything that she'll give him.
Yeah. And I mean, what can he do? This is somebody who lives all the way in Pennsylvania? Where are they in California? They live on the other side of the country. What are you going to do?
Right. So from Margot's Tumblr, David finds that she frequently visited Barbosa Lake, which is near the highway she was last seen. And like, obviously, of course, we've seen at this point the footage, right, that Vic has pulled, saying that she was headed towards Barbosa Lake. And this is where things start to get a little bit more, we take a bit of a twist. Instead of now, hold on, maybe she's run away, maybe she's been murdered, maybe, like, I don't know, murder's not coming into it, but just all these possibilities are whittling down into, hold on, something a bit more sinister's happened here. Because at the lake, he finds her Pokemon keychain on the ground, and this is when Vic gets the call, and it's such a big tip-off. Like, again, if you're watching it in hindsight, you know the answer, you can't watch it any other way, but the way she's scrambling and the way she's really trying to get there first so she can dominate the situation, so she can call the shots and control the situation.
Right.
It's really ingenious this second time you watch it do it, because like she's also, as she's walking out the door, like Robert walks outside of his room and she's like, go back to sleep, baby. Like, it's just such like a little teaser of like, this guy is present in these important moments, like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that they kind of set this up, and as she's running out, it's like, man, you're like scrambling out with like your slippers on or some shit. Like, dude, Jesus, at least stop to grab a coat, put some shoes on or something. The thing that I did find annoying though is as they're pulling the car out of the lake, they're like, oh, okay. No reports if there's a body, and it's like, this would not be on the fucking news.
On the cliff too, like on the cliff, they do that as well. And I'm just like, no way.
What happens when you look down there and she looks like beef jerky? Like, what the fuck, man? Why would you put that on live? It just kind of made me laugh, and like showing her opening up the trunk, and she kind of like grimaces and like, I don't know, like that kind of cracked me up. So I was like, I don't really like. I don't know. Like, this was one of the only moments that really kind of took me out of it. But the next shot is her, and they're doing like the live news report, and I was like, right back in. I'm right back in.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Like I completely agree. It is like a little distracting of like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, unless like the live news report isn't live and it's delayed by like 5 minutes or some shit. I don't know, but like. Yeah, at that point I was just like, what the fuck? So they drag the car. There's nothing in the car except the money, right? And a few other things like textbooks, whatever, clothes.
That's so fun. I was like, and the money's in there? So, Jesus Christ. Like that's when I was like, okay, I don't really know what's going on anymore. I'm really lost.
Right. Well, I'm interested because like I want to see what your mindset was as you're going through this movie. So what were you thinking, like, when this happened? Like, were you just, like, going with the flow, or did you have a theory, or what?
I don't know. When they're like, oh, we found her car in the lake, part of me was like, this guy just by himself figured this out? That's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy that he figured this out in about an hour sitting around on the computer. and he just so happened to go back, and I was like, that is some police and fucking competence. But then it kind of started to make sense. But once the search started, I think that what they do such a great job of when you start to search, the editing and the even the sound design and the music itself really kind of start this like dun 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 dun, you know, and it's like not going, almost like going to battle. It's like everybody's like lining up to participate in this thing. And I think they do a great job of kind of revving everybody up to where you're not thinking about why. Yeah, because he says like, he's like, why did you tell me she ran away? Why did you tell me she ran away? And it's kind of like accusatory now on a second watch. It's like, yeah, of course you told him she ran away. But I feel so fucking bad for him when he gets all like the Father of the Year memes and stuff. I'm not trying to skip ahead, but I was like, oh my God, that's awful. That's so horrible.
Well, and you know what? The thing that sucks is that it's probably accurate, right? I mean, like,
to some degree, yeah. Like,
it's the internet, right? I mean, like, it's the internet is going to be, especially in California, right? Somewhere so densely populated as California, where it can probably control the conversation that's happening on the internet, right? Pretty wild. But I mean, like, yeah, as you said, they find the car, they conduct searches, they call an Amber Alert, right? Like, this is all obviously to find Margot. And we get this situation with David and the boy who claim to know where Margot is. This guy, okay, look. This guy was kind of asking for it, man. This guy was just like, come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean,
it is social media, but still.
Right. And the thing is, it's like you kind of have to be again, you're the adult. You kind of have to walk away from that. But that's not to say, Zoheb, that you don't go and find a large minor and say, hey, I'll give you $100 if you beat the shit out of that kid, because he's not going to get in trouble for it. You know, this guy's smart. Come on. You know, you're giving $100 a week for piano. Hey, listen, you don't have to give that $100 a week anymore. You know, you can hire some kid, put him on your payroll, have him beat up all the minors that you want, you know?
I was going to say go a bit further than beat up. Just fucking
murder.
Just straight up do a carry and just, you know, throw some knives into that guy's fucking body.
It's just like a huge 17-year-old just stomping his head with a boot. I think it's right here because he gets on the phone with the cop, right? Vic gives him some shit and she tells him to fuck off, basically. I think it's right after this.
Yeah, it is. It is here. Yeah, Vic tells him he can no longer participate in the investigation.
I think right here is where you can see the email. It's from somebody about halfway down after the phone conversation with Deborah Messing. I think you can actually see the email that somebody posted. And it's like, oh my God.
Hold on. I'm so sorry I'm doing this live, guys. Because
I'm watching it right now too. It's about to be pulled up. Where is it? Yeah. So what is the guy's name? I can't pronounce it. My theory. It's obvious. Sorry, it's obvious what happened. Your daughter was catfished by this fish and chips character who is no doubt the son of blank, and it cuts off. And it's at like 4:33 p.m. And I was like, holy shit. That's the whole fucking movie right there in one email, like halfway down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Is that like a producer, writer?
Dude, he's one of the writers. It's one of the writers of the movie.
I was like, oh my God. And it totally, it worked perfectly to where it cuts off. Son of, I was like, so close.
Dude, that is so meta to have one of the writers of the movie send an email saying, my theory, it's obvious what happened. Your daughter was catfished by this fish and chips character who is no doubt the son of blank.
What I want to know, there's an email fourth from the bottom that's like all, I don't know if that's Chinese. I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. It's the symbols. It's like, well, what the fuck does it? I know. It's like, what does that mean? But yeah, I somebody on IMDb pointed that out and I was like, oh my God. Wow. That's IMDb intense. Trivia came through for once.
Dude, there's an email at 4:04 from Evelyn Ellis. You hurt my son. How dare you attack an innocent child? I can't imagine what life must be like for you.
So she emails
okay,
later on, right?
Hey, what?
That same woman, she emails later on after.
I think from memory.
Yeah, she emails after Margot is like pronounced dead, or whether she comes back and she's like, you know, despite our differences, I have your family in my prayers. And it's like, I got you, bitch.
That's intense, man. Look, there's an email from Zach Dickeroff at 6:41. Says Leviticus 24:17. He who murders shall be put to death. You shall be struck down by the hand of the Lord. Jesus Christ.
See,
is that Carrie's mother?
I would be so petty that I would look these people after my daughter came home and everything's back to normal, and look these people up and be like, "What do you have to say to me? What do you have to say to me now?"
Yeah. I'll fucking take him to court. You want to fucking defame me, but not really defame. If it's public, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. You're the lawyer.
I don't know much about defamation. I don't know much about anything really until I Google it.
I don't know much about anything really. That's for goddamn sure.
So, look, after Vic tells him he can no longer participate in the investigation, David's pretty undeterred, right? Because he visits a site that displays the crime scene photos and notices his brother Peter's jacket.
Man, this was... Again, like, not where I thought that this was going, because I was like, man, I do suspect Peter, but that cop, I feel like this is a red herring. I feel like the cop is really the one that I'm paying attention to. But I was like, she's not going to fuck her uncle. That's weird. I know he's like the hotter one between the two, and he smokes weed and he's cool, but I was like, nah, that, like, he probably looks like he has a motorcycle and like a VD, you know? So there was something about, I was like, I don't know. Like, I could see, here's what fucked up. I could see him doing that. I couldn't see her really doing that. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's a bad judgment call on Mike, because I don't really know enough about him as a character, but he just seemed kind of just very, oh yeah, just whatever, dude. You know, I don't know. He seemed kind of like a piece of shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's interesting though, but like, yeah, you say that, and like, yeah, like on my first glance, that's what I think of as well. Like, maybe he would be capable of doing something like that. But then, like, the discussion here that they have when he chastises David for failing to notice that his daughter might have been depressed, that adds a different kind of layer to him, like a different kind of, like, a bit more dimension. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and sometimes that, like, because I get the feeling that, like, his brother's kind of the black sheep, maybe a little bit. Like, it kind of feels like that, and it's like, but that doesn't mean that just because you're a black sheep doesn't mean you don't, you know, that you can't pay attention well, you know? So sometimes those people pay attention the best because they're used to being the outsider.
Right. Aren't all these people supposed to be doctors?
Huh? Jesus Christ.
Did you not get the racist?
No, I got it. It just took me a minute. Jesus. Taking us back 20 years, dude. Jesus Christ. No, actually, you can say that because you're not in America. I can't say that. No, I'm just
You shut your mouth. Obviously, if any potential employer is out there listening to this, I do not mean that.
The remarks of Zohar Ali do not reflect those of Midnight Double Feature as a whole.
Oh my god. The remarks, no. I'm watching out after myself. The remarks of Midnight Double Feature do not reflect those of Zohar Ali.
Dude,
to anyone who's listening, you're going to need to listen to one of our bonus episodes that we just recorded for Carrie to get this reference. So
I'll tell you something. When growing up, I had a friend's mom, and she would imitate Asian people. I'm from the South, you know, growing up in the 90s, people were, you know, pretty flagrant and stuff. And she would, you know, take her eyes and squint them and go like,
my God.
And she'd go, oh, cha-ching. And I was like, oh my God. And that looking back, we died as kids. We thought it was so fucking funny. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh my God. It's just like cringe. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's bad.
That's terrible, man.
I'm like 8, 9 years old. You know, I don't fucking know any better. I think it's hilarious. But looking back and I'm like, how could you sit there with kids and do that, man? That's fucking crazy. Ugh.
That's bad. that is so much worse than what I just did.
You know what I did? I started a fire next to your fire to save you, and I just sucked
to make me look better. So now I can be potentially employed by future employers.
There you go.
So look, when David confronts Peter, he explains that they were only smoking marijuana and confiding in each other. And this is the moment where we get Vic's call, right? This is the next red herring. It's funny because like we get 2 red herrings in a row with Peter, and then once that's kind of like vindicated, once Peter's vindicated, we get another big red herring. And like, you know, this is with the, obviously, you know, the ex-convict Randy Kartoff, who's confessing to raping and killing Margot. What were you thinking? Did this get you? Like, I'm wondering if you were like,
nobody, no, like if they had come out, excuse me, sorry, something just went down the wrong pipe. If they had come out and been like, hey, we have her body, she's dead, she's in the shack somewhere or whatever, then I would be like, okay, case solved. Well, I really thought that they were going to be like, hey, we have her body, we have the guy, that's the end of it. You know, like, no, like, just everybody go home. And that he was going to keep digging even through like his daughter being dead and just like, no, something is still wrong here. I really honestly thought that she was dead at this point, but that, you know, that was kind of like, it didn't matter if she was dead or not, that it was kind of becoming this obsession for him. It was kind of becoming this like white whale in the Ahab kind of thing. So this definitely, I was like, dude, there's part of it is also like, there's 30 minutes left of movie. I know this ain't, I mean, come on. Like, what is it? 27 minutes of credits?
Yeah. You know what? It sucks with movies like this that kind of like really rely on red herrings to make or break, or like, you know, like to make or break the story. Mm-hmm. Because it's something that you can't avoid, right? The runtime, right? Like obviously at any time the listener or like the listener or audience member can just hit, you know, oh, what's the runtime left? Like how much longer do I have left? Unless you're in the cinema, right? Like, you know, unless you really don't check your watch in the movie at the movies. Mm-hmm. Then you're like, oh, how much time is left here? Like, you know what I mean? Like if it's like 15, 20 minutes, then you might be able to get away with it. But like at home, absolutely, man. It's like, I can easily check to see how much time I've got left. Obviously, Randy Kartoff did not kill Margot.
Yeah, and that's my only thing is looking back on it now and looking at all the stuff that the detective would have to. So she faked the driver's license thing. She plunged the car into the lake. She killed this guy. And then what else? What else did she kind of stage? Is that it?
No, that's it. I mean, yeah, that's it. She shut down the Venmo account. She staged the search area, so she crossed out the sections where not to look. Yeah.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Cause I'm like, sometimes it's like, okay, it's almost like she's done so much that it almost seems kind of like, Jesus, I didn't realize you had that much power, you know, and the, you know, way to do this. But at the same time, as I was watching it, I was like, I definitely strongly suspect that it's her, but if it turns out to be her, I'll be surprised. And I was like, and when it did happen, I was like surprised. Still surprised because never am I right on those. I never call the right person. I can remember being a kid and watching Scream and going, fucking Dewey. Fucking Dewey, man. Like,
because he's such an idiot.
He's such a fucking moron. I didn't believe that Matthew Lillard would do that. I loved him. He was Shaggy. Like Zoink Scoop. Like, I fucking loved Shaggy. But there is a moment I fucking cannot go past it, dude.
Yeah, go.
There is absolutely a moment when he is confronting his brother about what's been going on. And he's like, you know, I don't think he quite says like, have you been like fucking my daughter? But it's when he gets up, like, you know, cause his brother goes into the kitchen and he gets the cell phone out and he walks in and he starts reading off the text messages. It's right about an hour, 9 minutes, 9.5. And I wanted so bad for fucking just the door to open up and be like, hey, how's it going? Why don't you go ahead and take a seat? And I so thought, I was like, dude, this is like, all the cameras are set up. This is set up just like To Catch a Predator. And that's all I could think of is John Cho just pulled his face off and he was like, Chris Hansen. He's like, hi. So, apparently you like to smoke pot. What's that about? Is that some white owl hood rat, or is that some cryptoconocutolite? What kind of weed do you have there? It smells good. What are we gonna do here tonight? Smoke a little grass, maybe? Have sex with your niece? I just think that, and it, like, because as he comes out from behind him, it's so confrontational, and I like at any moment I expected the doors to open up and just cameramen rush in, and him just be like, or him reach over and just like eat a fucking piece of pizza or something, just like so nonchalantly. But as it turns out, this is not the Chris Hansen moment that I wanted. But this felt, I mean, does this not feel like To Fucking Catch a Predator, dude? Does it not feel exactly like To Catch a Predator?
It totally does. You know what? Sorry, I was weak that whole time, dude. Holy fuck. You know what, man? You know what I want to do as a bonus? Just like 20 minutes of just us acting out To Catch a Predator. just like an audio recording. Like I'm like some guy who's just come in and like just pretended to bug like someone who I thought was a 18-year-old, but was really a 13-year-old student. Oh, sorry, a 19-year-old college student from like a film school, some shit, Caltech. I think that's where they get him, Caltech. And then,
really?
And then Tetrad Core is like fucking back there. It's like this is the watchdog group Tetra Core, who I'm working with. Like, you know.
Oh yeah, I was like, wait, Tetra. Oh, that's like the pedophile hunters he works with and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was watching this and I was like, dude, and I kind of stopped and I was watching it by myself and I was like, what is this? And and as soon as it's when his brother is at the sink and you see John Cho walk up behind him. And I just wanted him so bad to like, do you remember Animorphs? You know, when it's like an animal turning into a person? And he animorphed into Chris Hansen. Oh God, that would be so fucking. He just grows like a foot, and just
his phone turns into the clipboard that he carries around.
He's like the T-1000. He's just like an aluminium, just a fucking. Oh, that's fucking great. It's like a shapeshifter.
I'm crying, dude.
Oh God.
Oh my God. Fuck. Wow. How do we have listeners?
I don't know. How does this guy afford this house and or apartment? This is a nice place too, where he lives.
Pretty small. You reckon?
Shit. He's got a dartboard. He's got an L-shaped couch, record player.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, those are things, but area-wise, doesn't look that big.
You know what I really kind of thought at first, though? I really thought that something was going to happen where he was involved with drugs and they took her for something. That was an angle that was kind of like playing in my mind.
It was like a cartel kind of thing.
Right. And I was like, I feel like something is going on and he's trying to like cover something up, or he owes somebody money, or, you know, he's gotten her involved in something or introduced her to somebody who is like some drug dealer that's like obsessed with her now or something like that. But I was like, man, I don't know, but it's too late to start introducing like characters and stuff.
New
like,
elements.
This is
right. I got to tell you, Chris Hansen needs to make more appearances in future episodes, dude. It is my all-time favorite Colin character. Holy shit.
I need to go back and watch because I haven't watched him in a long time. But there's, you know, because I think he kind of had like a downfall. I think he was like drunk driving or not paying taxes or something. Yeah,
he got sued, I think, as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. I thought you could drive drunk and not pay taxes. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the dude, him at the end of the scene is awful. Where it's like, you know, it comes out and I didn't want to go past that when it comes out and the guy confesses and stuff, and it's just too like everything's too wrapped up in a bow for me. I was like,
too clean.
Yeah, this is too convenient for somebody else.
Right. No, absolutely. 100% agree. So they have an empty casket funeral for Margot, and as David is uploading photos to a funeral streaming site, he notices that the website's stock photograph features the same woman as Fish and Chips' profile picture. That was such a
remarkable coincidence.
No, honestly, it is a big coincidence, and I think you only in a movie like this, I think you only get one. I think you only get one big coincidence like this before you kind of like switch it off and you're like, there's too many. Like, you know what I mean?
Here's why I buy it, because it's something that a 16-year-old kid would do. It would pull off the first top 15 of the pictures, and the odds are that's going to be one of them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But this was such a fantastic moment in the movie for me, because it was just like, when you've lost hope, you think that this is all, because again, I watched this at the movies. I had no idea that there was still another 25 minutes or so left of the movie. This was such a gut punch. It's just like, oh, hold on. Hold the fucking phone. Like, you know?
Right. It feels like, you know, the conspiracies, it's like having a second shooter on the grassy knoll confirmed. It's like, oh my God.
Someone else was in the book depository building.
Right. And it further shakes your trust in the institutions that are around you when it comes to something like this. It's like, dude, just me on the internet, I figured out more about this case in a couple of days than these cops have. You know, I was able to track her location. I was able to figure out. Part of me starts going like, why isn't this guy just a cop? And it's like, oh, it's because the cop that's investigating this is like, I mean, legitimately being incompetent for and not researching these things. She's a cop. She knows exactly what to look for. But I actually had a guy once. I was a supervisor at a job, and he messaged me and was like, hey, I had somebody like kick my front door in and just run off. So I got to replace the lock and replace the door. You know, my wife and kids are here. It was a third shift job, so we didn't want to leave them there overnight. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, you know, I get it. Sorry to hear that. And he sent me a picture of the door. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And somebody I worked with was like, just curiosity, and just Googled kicked in front door. And it was like one of the first 5 ones. And they called him out on it. And they were like, hey, what the fuck is this? And he was like, oh, man, I'm sorry. We were just like fighting and stuff. And I was like, I mean, personally, I don't really give a shit if you showed up or not. Like, it was, we were janitors at a movie theater. It's fucking awesome. We just like cleaned up for a few hours and then watched movies the whole time. It's like, I don't give a shit if you show up or not. I don't care. But they busted him for it. Somebody in management Googled it or something like that. I was like, I don't give a shit though. Don't worry about it.
That's funny as, man. You know what? Something you just said kind of like made me think. Like it makes you question your trust in institutions around you. Dude, I have so many textbooks sitting behind me, like university textbooks about law. I can tell you right now that, I mean, obviously I've read bits and pieces of them. I've never read through one entirely, but I've learned so much through Google and the internet, so much more than these textbooks, dude. Like in terms of just like law and like what's required about things, like than any of these books. Like, you know, it's crazy.
How much money I've saved myself, like not going to a mechanic for just something so simple on my car that was just like, oh, I can put that belt on. Like, oh, I can change these wires. Like, it's not a big deal.
Right. So David contacts the woman in the stock photograph and discovers that she's a stock model who does not know Margot and that the police never called her.
Ugh. That's what I was like, I was right. I was like, I fucking knew it. I fucking called it.
I fucking nailed it. Attempting to report this to Vic, he instead reaches a dispatcher who reveals that Vic volunteered to take the case and was not assigned to it as she had claimed. David then Googles Vic and finds that she knew Kartov through a volunteer program for ex-convicts. Again, a photo that we've already seen, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need the woman on the line, to be like, oh, that's why she volunteered for the case. It's like, at this point, we kind of already figured out, like, I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt anything, but it doesn't really help. Like, we've already kind of figured out, hey, she never even called you. Like, if she never even called you, what the fuck is going on? And I think having her just kind of confirm over the phone, like, I would prefer him to be like, trying to get a hold of her, and he shows up and the cops just show up, and you're like, oh shit. So now we're kind of confirming what we were just, I don't know. It seems like it's kind of redundant to me. It's like, okay, yeah, we're already there. Like, I know that she's done this. Like, that's when he goes, hey, she's never even bothered to call you. I think I know. I'm picking up what he's putting down, I don't know. I just didn't need it. I just didn't need that little moment.
Yeah, I'm wondering if a dispatcher has that information at all, to be honest.
Yeah, right. And it doesn't really, again, it's just already confirming information we know, and it's a small nitpick, but it just seems kind of like,
how great of a reveal that would have been in your own head if you'd have pieced that together, that she most likely was not assigned but was volunteered, right? I mean, like, that'll be like, oh fuck,
Yeah. Well, and the thing that, and I would love if that were information that he knew, if he were just like, hey, I appreciate you. I know you got assigned to this case. She's like, no, actually, I volunteered because I really want to help. And it's like, okay, cool. Make that public information. And then later on, it seems so much more venomous on a second watch. It's like, oh, it's like in Get Out when she was like, why do you want to see his ID? And it's like, oh, you bitch, you fucking bitch. That's why you're doing that. Like the second time around, you catch it. But the tension when they come and get her, it's just like, can go down several ways. Fuck. Like, this is gonna go really good or really bad.
It's like some high noon cowboy shit. Like, it's like some Sergio Leone. Like, they arrive at the church to confront her, and I love the way they just slowly zoom in on her face. Like, and it's not even her face, it's just a silhouette. Like, it's just like her looking at them. And you just wonder what's running through her mind. Like, you wonder.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, she's probably got a service weapon. She probably has a service weapon with her.
Yeah. I honestly, I thought he was going to walk up and just shoot her and just be like, okay, well, I went to the cops. The cops ended up being the people who have like lied to me and perpetuated this. So like, I'm just going to fucking shoot you and just be done with it. I like the movie. It definitely ends on like an upbeat kind of thing, and I do like that. But I also wouldn't mind like a little bit of a downer thing, If
you accuse me week in and week out of choosing downer bullshit, and you want more.
But once I'm here for the downer bullshit, now I'm like, well, this is just a little all too convenient. Like, it's like, oh, everybody kind of wins, like she's still alive, everybody's fine, and I was like, everything kind of goes back to normal, and it's like, I don't know. There's something I wouldn't even mind it if they leave it like ambiguous whether she's still out there or not. If the movie ends with them turning around and driving back, and then it just stops, and it's like, oh, did they go and get her or not? Like, I would love to see something like that. But I don't know. It was just once I kind of figured out what was going on, I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna all end in like a nice little bow.
I'm a little torn about that because I like ambiguity. I don't like getting all the answers, but there is something about this and just how hard David Kim has searched for her. Like, like just how much emotion we've seen from this guy, that by the time we get to the rescue, you really feel happy for this guy. Like, you really feel something for this guy. You're just like, fuck, man. Like, all of the shit that this guy's gone through over the last few days, just like sullying his name and, like just absolutely, accusing his brother of the worst thing on the planet. Like, there's just
punching
so
that
much
kid out. Yeah.
Hey, what?
Punching that kid out.
Yeah, punching the kid out, like, just all of that shit. Like, by the time we get to the rescue, it's just like such an amazing moment. They're like, if that was left ambiguous, I would have been like, I don't know about that, because like I love ambiguity, like fucking look at the way Inception ends. I think Inception's ending is one of the best endings of all time because of the way it ends. Like, it's just
sorry,
fuck off. You can fuck
That's
yourself.
Pretty good. He's definitely awake. He's definitely awake. Anyways, I don't mind the ending.
It starts to topple.
I don't mind the ending to this because it is kind of like I guess it's the movie the ending deserves, but I do like movies like this that kind of end on a dour, like, oh yeah, she was in a coma for 6 months and then she died. you know, or just something like, oh, well, at least you found it. But you know, it kind of seems like everything we really wrap a lot of stuff up, and it's kind of like anything we really need to happen plot wise, we just kind of put on her. And I guess that's kind of the point. What does she really do? She ditches the car. She plants evidence. She kills that guy. And that's a lot of shit. Like the level of conspiracy that she's working at is kind of high for like one person. That's my only thing is I was like, dude, you're like murdering people and planting evidence. Well, I'm not saying that it's 100% outside your grasp, but it's a lot for one person to handle. That's all I'm saying.
But it's something we haven't really talked about here, and it's so highbrow bullshit, kind of like on our high horse. But like, both of these parents are doing the same thing in different ways, right? I mean, like David is throwing everything that he can at the wall for his daughter, and she is throwing everything that she can at the wall for her son, right? I mean, like, both parents are doing the same exact thing, but I mean, obviously, actually, kind of probably at the same level of intensity, right? I mean, like, at the same level of like, this is, you know, I'm going to cross some lines here. Oh, by the way, something else that I thought of that kind of like really tipped off this revelation, the story that she tells about him going door to door and collecting the money, and then she covers for him, like,
oh yeah, it's just like the plot.
Just another little, just another little like little bit of a, oh hey, we're telling you something here. But yeah, like, I don't know, I really love the ending, man. Like, I love the ending of like, I love how she's sitting there. I love the editing, dude. The editing when she talks about, fuck, man, it's been 5 days. Like, you know, like we thought that she was dead, but then hold up, there was a storm 2 days ago. So she only needed to survive without water for 2 days, not 5. And then, dude, the cars turning around, them going back. And again, I know that they will never broadcast this on live TV, but like the footage of like them hoisting her up, man. And you can see David just like pacing and like the cops holding him back. Like, it's all gorgeous visual storytelling. And it's, you know, this movie does it in spades so fucking well. I love it so much.
Yeah, I wanted the helicopter guy to be like, oh, that bitch is dead. Like, but just some guy who's like really baked, and he's like, ah, man, I've seen some fucked up shit, but
they're hoisting her up on the winch. he's fucking baked at the controls of the helicopter.
Or like a cameraman who thinks the camera's off, and he's like, we'll be right back with more news at Channel 6. And he's like, shit. Good luck. That bitch is fucking dead. Like, that bitch is dead. Have you ever seen the video of the guy getting hit in the face by the bug?
What the motherfucker?
Oh, dude, that's he's like, what really happened at this Augusta high school that led to Chris Wood's death? What the fuck is that? That's my got shit flying in my mouth. Let's get the fuck out of this country ass fucked up town. That guy we were talking about on the bonus, Wavy Web Surf, he breaks down that guy. He figures out who he is and all of the shit. And I was like, dude, that's fucking really cool. I love that video.
I would have liked to see them drop the hoist.
Wait, what?
In the end of this movie, dude, as they're hoisting her up in the fucking thing.
Yeah. It slips. Oh! Shit. Or if it's a guy intentionally doing it, like, oh, like Jonah Hill, and this is the end with the gun, and he's like, oh,
bang,
and he's got the hoist. He's like,
oh, you're dead, bang, bang. Yeah. But yeah, look, man, you know, she's severely injured but alive. 2 years later, Margot's applied for college to major in piano. David tells her that Pamela would have been proud of her. Margot's then changing her desktop picture from one of Pamela and her to one of David. Right? I mean, this is, again, like, just, it's sweet. it's really sweet. Like, it's just showing the point that she's, you know, moving on, and she's indicating a better relationship between her father, and it's just, you know, it's a really sweet ending. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I like it. As I was watching it, I was emotionally shutting down so it wouldn't get the better of me, and I was just like, this movie's stupid. I don't like it. it's dumb. No, I'm just crying.
Your fucking
dude, are you crying? No, not crying. I hate this fucking movie. Are we to believe, is she like paraplegic now, or is she just in a wheelchair just recovering? Because it's been 2 years, right?
She might be. Oh yeah, actually, she might be.
She might be paraplegic, which I'm not. Yeah, I mean, hey, you know, I get.
Surviving
I know
that fall and then no water for 2 days.
That's my kind of thing that I'm like. Well, that's kind of the compromised ending. Is like, okay, now you don't return the way that you were when the story started. Now you're paraplegic. That to me has like stakes to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it actually feels like there was consequences to what happened, whether it's your fault or not, or blah blah blah. But yeah, this this is a interesting movie. Like what is it, 800 grand, 900 grand they shot this for?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of crazy to, because I've is it indie? Is this considered like an indie film? I guess.
Yeah. It went to Sundance, and yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Right?
I don't know if it
won Sundance. Anyways, the thing that I like about movies. Really?
Yeah. So on August 14, 2019, a sequel was announced to be in development. Chaganty clarified that the story will not follow the same characters or plotline as the original. On January 13, 2021, it was announced the first film's editors, Will Merrick and Nick Johnson, would write the screenplay and direct the sequel based on a treatment by Chaganty and Ohanian, who wrote this one.
Huh.
I mean, yeah, look, I guess if it's like an anthology kind of thing, it could work. Like,
I don't know. I feel like that would get old it's like Taken, Like, I feel like that would get kind of old pretty quick. It's such a special... is the story really all that like, is the story complicated? And these are kind of like really just my final thoughts. Like, is the story complicated? Is it hard to follow? No, not at all. Because really kind of everything is just based on a character that was in plain sight the whole time, and this was really, when you think about like the chessboard of characters, the most powerful piece on the board. Like this detective is above, it's like a normal cop, and she's in charge of the investigation. So she really does have a large degree of power. So there's something about, watching this now that like, it seems at first to me that it's like, they're just kind of dumping all of these like things on her that we need to dump. But at the same time, it's not stuff that's like totally outside of her power. And what this reminds me of is I'm not sure if it's Korean, I can't remember what it is, or Japanese, but it's a horror film called Mother. And it's similar to this, about like a kid that commits murder and the mom kind of goes to any length to protect the kid. Personally, I don't need a sequel to this. That's still like sitting on top of my head going like, what? That's weird. I think this is a perfect like one and done. It's, I get the temptation to go back to that well, but like, dude, I don't know if this is the first thing that guy's ever directed. I've never heard his. It is. Yeah, that's what a great fucking job.
He directed a movie just this year called Run, starring Sarah Paulson. It's on Netflix.
I'll check that out. I love Sarah Paulson.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's similar to stuff like Chronicle, Paranormal Activity, stuff like that. But the way that it's done, it's similar, but it's not at the same time, because those movies want to have their kind of like cake and eat it too. And we want to move around a bunch of spots and follow characters. And that's not really what this movie does. A lot of this movie just takes place in like a few rooms, and it's just about dialogue. It's just about talking to people on the internet and stuff. So I think that's really cool. I think it's deceptively simple, because it's a lot of tedious stuff. So it's not like we're going to this location, we're going to this location, we're going to this location, and we're only doing one or two things. We're doing a lot in these locations. And I think that's really cool. I think they really get a lot of stuff done in a fucking hour and 40 minutes, hour, 38 minutes. Like, dude, they crank out a great story. And I love watching these kind of indie films like this, stuff that's kind of like crime related. You need to check out Super Dark Times. It's not like this at all. It's kind of like a fucked up, darker version of this. but I think it's on Shudder. But it's pretty good if you get the chance. But yeah, thanks for picking this. This is a good movie.
Yeah, man, I'm glad to hear you liked it. So look, yeah, I don't know what else to say about this movie that I've already said. I think this is an outstanding movie. I think the year it came out, like I was like, man, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. And you know, I'm not a big like score guy anymore. I don't really love giving scores anymore, kind of thing. But like, you know, like this is every time I watch this movie, I think I've seen this 4 or 5 times now. And every time I walk away from it being like, man, that was kind of flawless. That was kind of like, it's really hard to find, you know, a penetrable chink in its armor. You know, it's just like, holy shit. Like that is, you know, that got me emotionally. That got me like really invested. I'm on the edge of my seat at points. I really sympathize with John Cho. You know, I actually at points I sympathize with Vic, you know, when she's giving her kind of like, you know, I guess confession. I'm just like, I can see how a mother would be driven to do this. You know, like I've heard of true crime stories where police officers have unfortunately murdered people and covered it up, and it's sad, like, you know, but you know, if they wield that power and they have a child, they have someone who they love quite a bit, and you know they get themselves into a compromising situation. I can see how that could happen. I think the format of the movie is really, really ingenious. Again, this is a masterclass in exposition in giving your audience the information that you're trying to get across. Like, I think it's just unrivaled. Like, you know, like there are so many movies where, you know, you sit there and you watch it and you're like, all right, this person's going to give away a whole bunch of dialogue that's just going to tell you what's happening. And this is kind of like, this does that, but visually, like, you know, via emails, via text, like things that, you know, it really asks its audience to put, like, ironically, put your phone down and pay attention kind of thing, you know?
Right.
So, you know, I really appreciated the format, and I appreciated them weaving in this story about moving on from loss, you know, about dealing with loss, about getting a better situation or a better relationship with your child. I don't know. Like, it was a really touching story told in a thrilling way. And
yeah, there you go.
Again, like you said, I think the words deceptively simple really do it justice, because I think it's easy to dismiss a movie like this. You know, like, oh, it takes place on screens, you know, whatever.
Right.
It's a gimmick. But it tells a really compelling story. And I think a lot of people overlook it for that. But yeah. So look, that's my final thoughts. What do you reckon about some listener comments?
Yeah, let's do it. You got them pulled up? You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Yeah. Do you have them?
You go ahead. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I got them. Oh, don't worry about me. I got them.
All right. Just making sure you do your fucking work. You know, you gotta get paid.
You're the one that's always scrambling.
Rick Gentuza says, honestly, this movie I feel has been slept on for ages up until now, with more people watching it, and they should. This movie, to me, is how you do a found footage movie right. Compared to the soulless clones of Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch clones that were running rampant at the time. That's interesting. Do you call this found footage? I don't know if I put this in a different category to found footage. You know? Like,
I don't know. I mean,
you raised the comparison of Chronicle earlier, and you were like,
yeah.
No,
go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, like, it feels a little, you know, Chronicle does this thing and Paranormal Activity do this thing that's, again, was really innovative for its time, where, you know, everything you see is like via like actual recording devices and stuff like that. But this feels different. This feels like screens and not recording devices. Like, you know, this is this feels a little different to me.
So yeah, like 50-50, I feel like, you know, I feel like there are parts of it that feel different, and then there's parts of it that feel very similar to some of those like older ones, you know, to like Blair Witch Project. You know, it's hard to really put a finger on, because when you're first watching it, your mind is kind of automatically doing comparisons, but at the same time, it's you're trying to be objective and seeing what it's doing like originally on its own. And I think the thing I liked the most was the grunt work, the hitting the grind and getting everything done that you could. And calling contacts, making the charts, like doing all of the stuff, just this like thankless kind of like grunt work of just calling people and hitting the fucking phone and hitting the streets and stuff. So I enjoyed that a lot. And that's not something you see in a lot of, I feel like a lot of what this movie does would be a montage in a standard movie where you have like, stuff happening off of screen, or I guess stuff that's, you know what I mean? Like with real people, not on phones and tablets and computers and stuff. So I think that it does things somewhat originally because, the whole internet sleuth kind of culture is so rampant right now, that I do think it's really cool. They kind of cash in on that a little bit, but at the same time, they kind of tell this like heartwarming story through like a thriller and also kind of like a, I don't know, like trying to figure out who your kid is because obviously you don't know who the hell they are,
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess in my head, I just kind of like compartmentalize them pretty easily. I don't know why. Do you want to go ahead and read the next comment?
See, I've got a different one pulled up from you. I've got one from the after party, but this is a movie recommendation of yours.
Yeah, I've got both of them pulled up because I remember people commenting on the recommendation too. But yeah, go ahead.
I'll go with Matt Vella. This movie is a 10 out of 10 recommend, and I give 10s out very rarely, very innovative and creative use of the format. And just one more, I'll read this one off because it's pretty much the same thing. Madeline and Liana Fallon, both of them really enjoyed this movie. Said it was a better version of Unfriended, though not going to lie, it's a guilty pleasure. I've never seen it. I'll have to check that out now.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for commenting and for taking part in the after party. Really appreciate it. And for, supporting the show. This is great. Every time the community gets together and does anything at all related to the podcast or related to the Facebook group or any of our socials, it's such a great feeling. So thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Colin, do you want to go ahead and close us out?
Sure. Guys, if you want to check out any more of our stuff, you can find most of our socials in the show notes. If you ever have any questions, though, you can always head over to midnightdoublefeature.com. That's where you can find basically everything. That's our hub. Also, check out our Patreon page. That's going to be patreon.com/midnightdoublefeature. That's where you're going to find the Green Room. It's $5 a month. We've got plenty of episodes up there now. So just for $5, you get all of those. And it's kind of just a recurring thing that we've got. We've also got our merchandise on midnightdoublefeature.com. And if hey, I got merch. Hey, I've signed up for the Green Room. Stop by, rate, review us on iTunes. Tell your friends to rate and review us on iTunes. That's going to help out so much. It's completely free. It takes 5 minutes, and I would consider it a personal favor if you guys did that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This has been a lot of fun to talk about. And I'm glad I finally got another. I love notching off movies that I've never seen before. And I was like, okay, cool. This is nice. Like, even if I don't enjoy a movie, I notch it off, but it's always nice when you enjoy it and you still get to notch it off. So it's been a blast. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll catch you on the next one.